Welcome to this next episode of Growth Minded Contractor. I'm your host, Ryan Groth, and I'm really excited about today's episode. I have Daniel Young with Kingdom Roofing Systems out of Indiana. And I just want to say before Daniel jumps on and we start to have him share, Daniel and I met through referral, I want to say 3 years ago, maybe 3-ish years ago. And he was just one of those guys that connected with more than business. He and I share a ton of the same core values. And when I met Daniel, I was like, this is a special guy in the industry, somebody who fits the STG world and what we're doing here at Sales Transformation Group. In whatever way that looks, I don't know, but it became less about he's a customer to this is a friend, somebody who I can hang with, talk to, share life with because of just how he thinks and how I think. And so Daniel has experienced an amazing amount of growth, and we can get into that. And but today we're just going to dive into Daniel Young and what's going on in the mind and heart of this guy. Daniel, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Really honored to be here with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. So give us a quick bio. Who's Daniel Young? And for the contractor out here, let's just hear a little bit about listening. Let's hear a little bit about who you are and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Purdue for construction technology, and I always knew from when I was a child I wanted to be in the construction industry. We didn't really know what it would look like. But my whole family has been in the industry. They've been storm chasers, engineers, licensed architects. My dad was in the insurance world. Just from the time I was a child, my whole family has been knee deep in this industry. And so I loved watching, the process of the build and the renovation. So I went to Purdue. Shortly after, I landed in a town between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne called Marion, and took a job with a company called Marion Steel. And so I spent years designing structural steel. I was designing high school, college campuses, CVS's, Walgreens, you name it. If it had steel, I was designing it. And so I worked in the engineering department there for years. And then I ended up starting a property management company. And so we were doing light construction, repairs and maintenance, lawn care, hardscape, tree removal, things like that. And I was really using that business as more of a service and a ministry to our local community. So in 2008, I started housing men. So we had about 150 guys run through what we called a group home at the time. And really the vision was, if you were 18 to 30 and you were a young man that really wanted to focus on personal development, oftentimes hitting reset, starting over. We had guys that were coming out of jail, guys that were on house arrest. We had guys that were drug addicts. We had guys that were, I had guys that were homeless. And, we had 150 guys run through this house over 2 years. I mean, it went to the point where we had 5 and 6 bunk beds in our living room. And it was just about people. It was about helping people, developing people. So that developed into what is called today is Hope City, and it's still running. I've actually built a home there, and we live there now. The vision of Hope City was very similar, 18 to 25, and we've had everything from sex slave victims to war refugees from Africa to people who were re-entering from prison. And it was about just developing people. We had people that didn't have Social Security cards, didn't know how to change oil. They had never held a job, never went to school. We partnered with a local university, Indiana Wesleyan University. We got people full rides. And so at the time, what I was doing was I was calling all of the local business owners, pulling every string that I could to try to get people jobs. And oftentimes they had felonies, they had misdemeanors, whatever it was, they had backgrounds or they had no background, right? And so very difficult, you can only pull so many strings. Mm-hmm. And one day I heard Holy Spirit say to me, you're going to be a provider, not a beggar. And so we started our first company, Kingdom Services. And one of the reasons was I had the history in construction. I understood it, and I understood lawn care, landscaping, and maintenance. But this was a profession that you could bring people in, coach, train, and develop, and they could make pretty decent money pretty quickly. And if they had a background, it wasn't the end of the world. It was very acceptable in that service industry. And so we were able to give second chances, right? And so we did that for years, and we were using, Kingdom Services to feed employment to Hope City. Back in 2010, a hailstorm hit Marion, which is this, small town in between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. And a guy I went to church with said, "Hey, man, I was actually working on his house. We were staining his wood siding." And he said, "Hey, I've got a son. He's a storm chaser." I'm like thinking in my head, like the movies where tornadoes and guys are driving crazy, Hummers into it. And it wasn't that. And so I figured out what the storm chasing industry was about. And he said, "Hey, man, you and my son are so similar. He's in town. He's normally on the road. I want to introduce you to him." And so I met him, and he's now my current business partner. But I was running my first business, Kingdom Services, and we were on the second year of a storm here in Marion. And he was telling me, "Hey, I'm wrapping this storm up, but there's a little bit of life left in it." So the old, "Here's a stack of business cards and a polo. You're lucky if you get a hat," right? And he just tells me to go out and beat doors. And so, I cleared about 40 grand in 90 days, sell, build, and collect. Back in 2011, that was pretty solid money for me. I had never cleared that much money personally at the time. And so he wound that storm down. We were about 120 days into knowing each other, and he was going to go back to the road. Well, he graduated from Ball State. He'd been on the road for 10 years as a national storm chaser, working almost every hurricane, hailstorm, tornado, et cetera. And we barely knew each other. I just said, "Hey, man, if you're interested, I'm going to start a local, restoration business. If you want to be my business partner, I'd love for you to jump on, but I'm going to do it with or without you." It was one of those kind of dumb, blind, kind of faith things. I didn't know what I didn't know, so I was just dumb enough to believe I could do something. So we started the business really with the very same vision. We're going to help people. We're going to use it for an opportunity for ministry. We're going to use it for an opportunity to coach, train, and develop people. I entered into the industry very ministry-minded. I was a full-time minister at the time. So I was running my own business, and I was working about 50 hours in youth ministry a week. And so I was running myself ragged, plus running this group home. At the time, I wasn't married, any kids, anything. So it was just sun up to sundown helping people. So that was back in 2012. We started the business, me and my partner did, and started it really as an exterior restoration company. 99% wind and hail related damage. Within a couple of years, we scaled it up to about 3 million. We brought on a third partner, and I through this process, we spent about 3.5, 4 years together, and we stayed very stagnant. We stayed at this $3 million range, even though we added this operator who had 35 years in construction as a CEO and COO. The issue was we had this very different philosophy on business. So me and my partner's philosophy was very much growth through investment. And this other partner's strategy was profits through savings. And so budgets that we had allocated to marketing and lead generation, coaching, training, development, they faded away. And with that, our business remained stagnant. Back in 2018, I did a forced buy sell with that gentleman. Great guy, just very different philosophy on business. He played defense. I was used to offense. I'm a very much, I'm going to take the mountain kind of a guy. Yeah. And then 2018 was kind of this rebirth of our business. And then 2018, this light switch hit, and we just had rapid, ridiculous growth. We've grown 500% since 2018. Been more like 650% since 2018. And now we're kind of riding this roller coaster. And this year we're literally restricting growth and saying, hey, this second phase, we have to have very deep roots. We have to have a very strong foundation to go from, 2022, we're at 20 million, and we're going to grow to 50, 60 million over the next 3 to 4 years. And there's a big difference between a $4 million and a $20 million business. There's a much larger difference between a $20 million and a $50 million business. So that's really the phase that we're in. We're in this deep roots phase. That's the theme. We're a theme-based business. 2022 is the year deep roots for us. And so we're going very deep right now as an organization.
So good. Love that. And by the way, for those who are listening, we have a conference in October. Daniel's one of our speakers. So we'll give you more detail about that later. So, man, thanks for sharing that story. And I didn't quite realize the depth of ministry prior to the business starting. And I love that. And that's actually a similar birthing of STG came out of, time where I was being equipped in ministry and then found that being expressed out in the business world was actually a lot more powerful because you're being able to give from a place of strength and not asking people for money. Because at the end of the day, we want to help people, but the business world is such an amazing opportunity to do that. And so I just love how you've done that and started the business. But can you just quickly, for those who may not know and speak this, maybe this, language, this faith-based kind of language, can you talk to what kingdom, why did you name the company Kingdom? And you can, reference what you just shared because all that, ties together. And you have like a lion as the mascot and the logo. You got a fun lion on your branding too, like a cartoon lion. And you have this sweet looking lion on your hat and your logo. So talk to what does that mean? Because what I'm picking up from you is there's a lot of meaning to what you're doing. There's a lot of like reasoning to why the name's the name or the theme's the theme, right? And there's like a deeper, there's like a depth to the reason of the choice, because I think that, and that's what I'm feeling with you, with how you're designing your business. Speak to that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start with saying that there's nothing worse than using faith to sell and manipulate people, right?
Agreed.
And so I didn't want to be fish roofing with the Jesus fish, right? Like that was never the intent. And the name was never about sales. It was really about identity and being mission minded. There's, like you said, there's a deeper purpose to why we do what we do. I tell my people all the time, if this was about money, I could shave this thing down and make crazy money very simply, very passively. Yeah. But the mission is people, and so we sacrifice in a lot of ways. So I wanted to say that to start, because there's nothing worse than somebody manipulating.
Thanks for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kingdom, for those who are faith-based, Jesus talked a lot about the kingdom is at hand, the kingdom of heaven. Kingdom has this, it's a word that has so many meanings to it. People will say, man, that's real kingdom, or you're a kingdom type person or whatever. To me, kingdom is very much about, so kingdom means the king and his domain. Right. Mm-hmm. And so the Bible talks about owning the kingdom and taking dominion and authority. So when we talk about ministry in the marketplace ministry, it's about, hey, listen, we're going to bring Jesus, and we talk about with our customers, even if you're not a Christian, we believe that you can appreciate our core principles: integrity, value, respect, honor, excellence, right? Reliability, development, people first, right? And so all of these things that Jesus talked about is what we believe every customer and every one of our employees and every one of our vendors and partners will find good value in. Yeah. So for us, Kingdom, right, was about that. It's about all of those things being summarized. Then roofing systems is very much about, we don't sell roofs, we sell systems. We don't sell shingles, we sell systems. And so it's about solving the holistic problem about what's going on. Lots of people will come out and talk about why their shingle's the best. We're talking about the system from A to Z. The lion is the Lion of Judah, which is another name for Jesus. And we have the cartoon character, which his name is Judah the Lion. My son's name is Judah. I've got this weird obsession with lions and eagles, and very much symbolism, right? So I'm into symbolism and legacy and depth of meaning.
Yeah.
But I don't want it in your face. You'll be shocked at how so many people have no idea what it means. And you'll
Totally.
be shocked at the amount of calls that we get and say, hey, I was just kind of wondering, what's kingdom mean and what's the line? And we tell them, like, good, that's why I called you. We were hoping that we could find a roofing company that was faith-based that we could partner with and trust. The thing is like, that doesn't lower the bar, that raises the bar.
100%.
Because as soon as we miss, they're like, dude, you're a Christian. We thought Christians did this and this and this. And so a lot of people use it for manipulation. And for us, it's like, hey, guys, when you put yourself out there like that, you're raising the bar. People expect more from you.
There's nothing worse than like a flashy Christian company that's the cheapest price and does a poor job of communication, and their brand is like ratty tatty and old. Like you guys said, no, let's be excellent. And I love that. That's one of our core values too. And that's awesome. There's something that was coming to me. It's like, as a believer, it says, don't conform to the patterns of this world. And so like there's a kingdom here, right? There's a way the world works, which is deception, greed, selfishness, selfish ambition, narcissism, fear, shame, anxiety, guilt, things that kind of create this dark existence, right? And I don't know if anybody's a contractor listening to this, it's like, yeah, have you met a contractor who lives within a dark existence and you feel that environment in their company? Absolutely, right? And there's guys who aren't. And I think what's interesting is, and I love what you're doing there, is you're saying we want to bring the kingdom. If you remember that Lord's Prayer is like on earth as it is in heaven. You're bringing that as it is in heaven, the way that the dominion of the King is into your work expression, and it doesn't have to be. This isn't a church. This is a business, and so you're able to use that way of you're able to build a resource and a vehicle that actually has money in it because it's a real business, to actually be mission minded and focus on people. And you're helping people and so that's amazing. You're just being a person of solution. And when you're like trying to make an impact in that kind of way, you need resources. And I just love what you're about with all that. So thanks for sharing a little bit about Kingdom. Now let's get more into the business side of things. So you went from 3 or 4 million for a few years, said bye-bye to the partner who wasn't in alignment with growth, and talk to me about the partnership that you have with your existing business partner around growth. Like, I think philosophically, I have a business partner. I didn't for a while. It's been a year. I have a lot of history with this person, but it definitely adds a layer of complexity that when you don't have to deal with when it's just you and maybe your spouse in your corner or your spouse. So talk about that. And then now you're at a $20 million company and you're doing deep roots to get yourself ready for the 50 mark, which I know you guys are going to do. Talk to me about that relationship for a minute, and how you kept like united around growth philosophically. Just whatever you feel to share there, that'd be helpful.
Yeah. It's like any relationship, so my partner, Ryan, in lots of ways, a business partnership is like a marriage, very difficult. And when you look at statistically, business organizations, a partnership is the weakest, and that's because of the personalities, right? And what we found is being mission minded and having a clear vision, that has to start first. And so we went through and really defined very clearly what it is that we're about, what we're going to do, where we're going, right? And there's a lot of details that happen in between and a lot of stylistic approaches that happen. But during this buyout, this forced buyout, there was it was a defining moment, because you've got me coming to the table saying, I'm growth minded. I have to conquer. It doesn't matter where we're at. It's not enough. right? And that is innately written in me. Going to another partner who wants to play defense, and I'm saying this doesn't work. We're not on the same page. Without a vision, the people will perish, right? So we have an unclear vision. And so this defining moment, Ryan had to decide, is he going to partner with the other guy and buy me? Is he going to partner with me and we'll buy him? And so during that conversation, I told him, I said, listen, I'm very happy to remain business partners with you under one pretext. I want 12 months to run the business my way. And if you don't like the results, I'll hand over the reins. But I need 12 months and I'll show you what we'll do with it. And the agreement really was, yeah, I'm the CEO. Yes, I'm making the final decision. But I don't make, like with my wife, I don't make big decisions without being in agreement. My philosophy is if we can't agree, then we don't move forward. And so I think that's very important as a leader, to be able to submit one to another, right? Yeah. Understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses. And so in our business partnership, I am the CEO, he's the president. But it's the same thing. I don't buy a truck without calling him and saying, hey, this is where we're at, this is why we need it, because I'm spending his money, right? And so I think that's honor. But throughout this process, we, that first year, we go from, 3 to 6 million under, these philosophies of investment into the future, coaching, training, development, lead generation, marketing, sales, et cetera, the whole shebang, right? The six, what I call the 6 pillars of growing a business. And it, everything shook out the way I expected. Of course, we had a couple misses here and there, but he saw, hey, this is going in the right direction. So since then, I've wore that CEO hat, and he stylistically and personality-wise were very much opposite, and that's very common in a healthy partnership. I'm very I'm not risk diverse. I like controlled risk. But I'm the type of person that if I've got 4 seeds in my hand, I'll stay hungry and put all 4 seeds in the ground, right? And he's the type of person that loves big savings, right? And so there's this tension that happens between us where he's letting me run, but he's kind of pulling on the reins a little bit and saying, hey, not too hard, not too fast. And also, even though I'm very people-oriented, I'm also very business oriented. And so I'm the type of person, while we're clocked in, it's business first and friendship second. And he's the type of person, it really doesn't matter what you do to him. He always wants to be your friend. And so we have this high driven personality like me that wants to take the next mountain. And he's saying, whoa, what about this person's feelings? And it's like, even though I'm people driven, I'm not feeling driven. And so there's this very complex relationship that happens in a healthy business partnership. But he keeps me reared in, and I keep him in the faith mode and in the drive mode, right? And so it's just a very healthy, good partnership. But you will catch us in the office in heated conversations and disagreement, right? Yeah. And people will hear us because we're both very passionate about what we do. And so it works for us. And we've had to work through a lot of really difficult conversations. But I know this guy as well as I know my wife or better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. Lots of great stuff you're sharing, Daniel. And it's, I'm sure, super encouraging for anybody trying to get to the next level in their business. So a few things I want to ask you is how's the business evolved? And, as a roofing company, and I could speak real quickly. I know you sounded like you started with some storm work. Now you're 80% retail, which has come a ton from digital marketing and sales process and sales training and branding. You've also started commercial as well. And, I know you guys are, working with a manufacturer that actually met your business partner at one of their annual meetings, which was cool, and met Ryan, shook his hand. And so I just wanted to kind of hear like a little bit about how the business has evolved, and then like how the digital marketing and branding has allowed you to make that switch more into retail, lower your cost per lead. Kind of speak a little bit to that, because it sounds to me like you are not afraid to make the changes that, and anybody who wants to grow has to be comfortable with change and comfortable with mistakes. So let's just talk a little bit about, hey, foot on the gas, climbing the next mountain. We're changing again and again and again. And now we're 20 million, and it's sometimes people never get to 20 million. And right. And if it does, if they do, maybe it takes so long because they don't know what they're doing. You're driving growth. You're living life, building business proactively. You're not accepting things as they are. So talk to me about that growth minded Daniel Young, partner with Ryan, CEO, growing this team. We had to change and we evolved to get here. What were some of those milestones in the business?
Yeah, so we've really gone through three very distinct phases, names and brands since we opened. So in the beginning, the name was Kingdom Exteriors. We were an exterior-based contractor, primarily storm related. When we brought in that third partner and we choked down the marketing budget, we changed the name from Kingdom Exteriors to Kingdom Construction, because that's this all-encompassing name that allows us, if a phone rings for a kitchen, now I can go out and sell a kitchen, right? I can go out and sell a barn, a garage add-on. I can sell windows and doors. And it brought absolute chaos. It is not scalable. Margins were all over the place. You couldn't build scalable processes because you have this very broad whatever call I get. I mean, we were selling concrete driveways, for the love of God. It was ridiculous. But that's what you're doing as you're trying to scale a business. If you don't have a marketing budget, then you're selling what you can get your hands on. And so when we did that forced buy sell, I did a rebrand, and the question really was among the table is, who are we at our core, right? And at our core, we're a roofing company. That's who we are. And then the question comes, well, if we change it to a Kingdom Roofing or Kingdom Roofing Systems, what happens to the other products that we want to sell and we're good at, the bolt-on products like gutters, gutter guards, and siding? I'm saying, listen, guys, here's the thing is, those are bolt-on sales, and so we're going to sell them regardless. But at the end of the day, I want the phone ringing for the right product. I want to do more of what I want to do and less of what I don't want to do. And that means my name has to speak to that. And I asked everybody at the table, it was a management table, and I said, if you don't, always the question is, if you don't know who to call, what do you search for? So if I need an electrician, if I have a choice between Kingdom Electric and Kingdom Construction, I'm going to pick Kingdom Electric 100% of the time. Right? If somebody knows who to call, they're calling their person. Hey, I got a guy, I'm calling my guy. But when I don't know who to call, I've got to do a search. And so I wanted the name to speak to the identity of what's the product that we do and don't sell. And so that all of a sudden, I'm not getting calls on barns and concrete. I'm not getting calls on electric and plumbing and HVAC. And so what was interesting is I made this fear-based decision to have a broad name with broad services because I was afraid that we didn't have enough opportunity to grow. As soon as I made the choice of faith to say, this is who I am, we defined our identity, we defined our products and services, we go from 4 to 20 million in 4 years, right? So during that process, though, we also had to drastically increase our marketing budget. So in the meantime, I've been with every marketing agency that you can think of, ones that were being recommended from manufacturers, recommended from contractors, Angie's List, Home Advisor. I mean, I could start naming marketing agencies and most people here would know who they are. Terrible, terrible experiences. And the problem is that if you get with the wrong marketing agency, it's typically this 2 to 5 year journey of them saying SEO takes 18 to 24 months before you start getting results, and all of this stuff you're getting, and you don't. It's like this mirage of did they really do anything in the background? Well, while I was interviewing companies, I was introduced to an organization called Web Runner. And I'll give you guys some of my silver bullets of what it took to scale. But to start we had to have a name that matched our identity. We modernized the logo, and they went through and they gave us a roadmap. And he told us, I was working with Mark Levesque and Kevin. Mark said, Dan, here's a 24-month roadmap. And every month, this is what I need you to accomplish to give us the tools and the assets for you to grow and scale your business. And so all I did was follow their timeline. And that's a big part of growth is you cannot be an expert in everything. You must hire and partner with vendors that are absolute rock star experts and trust their program and execute to a T. It does not matter if you hire WebRunner and they're the best marketing agency in the nation or North America. They're actually a Canadian-based business. If you don't execute on your part, none of it's going to matter, right? So I did exactly what they asked me to do. I used the recommended budget, and we go from a company that is waiting for the next storm to saying, hey, our customer acquisition cost is this, my average lead is this, and then all I have to do is say, I want to do 20 million. I need a fight for us. We're a very efficient company because we brand. We don't do leads. We brand. We don't buy. I don't spend $1 with Angie's List. I don't spend $1 with Home Advisor. I do not buy one lead. Everything is branded Kingdom Roofing 100% of the time. It's trucks, it's billboards, it's radio, it's digital, it's SEO. Everything funnels back to me. And so we're running a 5 to 6% marketing budget. So all I need to know is if I want to do 20 million, I've got to put $1 to $1.2 million into marketing. I'm going to generate enough leads to do that 20 million. It's very predictable. It's all results and data driven. And then you've got these levers to pull, right? It's what revenue number am I going after? Okay, I know my marketing budget. Then I've got to adjust my closing rate, my average job size. We ultimately boil it down to NSLI, net sale per lead issued. That's how we measure every one of our sales reps and us as an organization by a revenue stream. And so one of the things that they did was they came in, they made everything extremely measurable. So every lead source has a unique phone number. Every lead source has a unique landing page. And we started building out very robust measuring tools. And then we start tweaking everything. So we look at our marketing dashboard. We're looking at our top 20 lead sources. We've got about 60 right now. And we're saying which ones perform the best. Where can I pump the next, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 as we grow? And then we look at it and sometimes we say, hey, that lead source is tapped out. I've got, $35,000 a month budget in Google PPC. We're tapped out. Okay, I need to add lead sources, et cetera. So we're just maneuvering the pieces for us to hit our goal, right? Throughout the process, though, the main thing was I can tell you 100%, if I wasn't being coached and trained by industry experts at the time, and if I had not partnered with this, marketing agency, WebRunner, we would not be where we are today. And that is beyond a shadow of a doubt. But now we feel like we're finally controlling our destiny versus waiting for another storm. We look at storms as a cherry on top.
Yeah, bro.
We don't count on the storm at all. Our entire budget and our marketing design and platform is designed on every single dollar will come from inbound, warm, branded leads, and we're going to set appointments. I've got other friends in the industry that I respect very much, and they've leveraged companies like Home Advisors and Angie's List, but I've got one appointment setter setting enough leads for 20 million in revenue, and friends doing 10 and 15 million, and they've got 4 to 6 appointment setters because they're constantly outbound cold calling. They're constantly calling out to form fills at Home Advisor that have been sold to 5 different people, and we just got tired of that game. I think people can utilize it and maybe do 10 or 20% of their business on an agency like that. We're just not interested in it. I want people calling my business and saying, so-and-so referred me. I saw your billboard. I saw your trucks down the street. Your neighbor said these things about you guys. We want to work with you. I guess I'm, call it egotistical or whatever. I want to be wanted, right? And I want my customers to want to work with me. I don't want to have to knock on their door 100% of my business to try to talk them into wanting to do business with us. Our closing rate is substantially higher now. Our average job size is substantially higher now. And our overall margin is much better because we're running a very efficient business. You know, when you have that phone ringing from a referral, these people are typically not shopping you hard, right? Very often we're one call closing, and we're giving our guys the tools to one call close through our sales systems and our sales training. So it's just a different model. I don't think one's right or wrong. It's a preference for us. I can tell you, I finally feel like I'm in control of my business. And when I go visit the Dominican Republic with my family and we visit my wife's family there, I have no concerns that we're going to continue driving revenue and collecting checks. You know, I'm not dependent on mortgage companies and insurance companies to pay my bills at the end of the day. We're in control of our destiny.
Yeah, I love that. So good. So good. So there's so much that you shared there. And I think that, just a quick plug for our partner. We actually, Sales Transformation Group has formally partnered with WebRunner Media. So we have a relationship where we share referrals and things like that, and help each other out and, help grow the industry. Daniel was one of the clients they referred to us a few years ago. There's another one that they've done really well with that we've actually helped a sales guy go from $1 million to like $7.5 million a year through our sales process and our sales training, especially focused on repairs and, larger jobs. So amazing referral partner, WebRunner. So check those guys out. Mark Levesque is the CEO, and, they have a great team over there. And they're not a high volume, like we work with anybody type shop. This is a growth minded, ideal client profile. Like, you got to be a contractor ready to spend some money, not freak out. When you spend some money, you got to follow the plan. You have to think about data. You have to be somebody who, you're resonating with Daniel. You're like, hey, that's a style that I want to live like. I feel inspired by Daniel. This is like, you need to be thinking that you're going to manage that relationship with that vendor in that way and follow and just comply and get the results, just like anybody. But I know that they're a great partner. So super exciting to have you at our Transform Conference in October at the Four Seasons. This is an event that we've had different events under different names. This is our first event under this name. So the Transform Conference is the number one event for growth-minded contractors. So we want growth-minded leaders or sales leaders, salespeople, service department managers, that team that you want to bring and invest in. Daniel's going to be doing a 1 hour, 15-minute session on these 6 pillars and how he's grown his business. This is one of those things where Zoom's great, podcast is great, but in person is a whole nother level. He's on the board of LEAP and Job Nimbus on the customer advisory board. I just invited him to ours. And so this is the kind of guy you want to have here. And we have a few others like Daniel that are on that level of just growth and impact and people and innovation and taking risks and making calculated changes. So we're really excited. If you want to go check that out, go to thetransformconference.com. That's thetransformconference.com. We have prices go up about every 30 days leading up to the conference. So go ahead and get your tickets. It's going to be amazing. Daniel, as we wrap things up, just maybe give our listeners just like a piece of advice. If someone's asking a question, I'm not where I want to be. I'm inspired right now and I want to grow, and I'm just, what should I do? What would Daniel say I do right now? What's a piece of advice and a word of wisdom? Obviously you can go right into their situation if you talk to them, but if blanket statement, I'm scratching my head, I'm listening to the car, I'm feeling inspired, and I want to grow. I will comment on one thing. I love how identity-based your business is. And I think that I wrote on my Facebook today, I said, beliefs precede behavior, right? If you want behavior, your beliefs have to be in line. And I think that, both of us as people that have taken a lot of time in the kingdom of God and before business, know the power of our identities. We know the power of who we are. And when we come in building a business, we're like, well, I know who I am. Does the company know who we are? Because we have a lot of people trying to do different things. Who are we? I'll just say before I answer the question for you first, but I want you to add on to it. you need to know who you are as an individual, and then you need to know what your identity is as a company. Is this who we are? And and so there's obviously things you could do to do that. We have a purpose statement, core values, as does Daniel. But what would you say to somebody who wants to grow? They're feeling really inspired right now by you, and they're ready to take the next step in their business.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we went through this buyout with this third partner, the first thing that I did was hire extremely amazing coaches. So I have, I would call it a revelation, right, of this father-son relationship. And so I am always looking to find mentors and coaches to level up. And so I've been extremely fortunate. One of the things that's really interesting is it's almost like once you can get in with one amazing coach, they open these doors for other coaches, right? And I've been very fortunate to get to, I just spent 4th of July with one of my coaches, right? And we do life and do family together. But I started off with a coach, Les O'Hara, who's a general coach. He's out of Chicago with the Build 12 group. And he's a very boutique one-on-one coach that specializes in cash flow. And he taught me so many of the basics of what it is to run a sound business and manage cash. And then I get with Mark and WebRunner, and they start teaching me the foundations of branding and lead generation and the identity of a business and how to track results and have predictable outcomes. And then they introduced me to Ryan Groth and Sales Transformation Group. And it's about scaling your sales and your business through systems, coaching, training, and developing. And being able to, one of the first things that we utilized was the testing, making sure we're identifying the right type of person to put into our sales department and filtering out people with predictable test results of, hey, they're not going to fit our culture. They're not going to fit our style of selling. And it wasn't this out of the box package. We got to have a custom test to identify who it was that we wanted. And then I get introduced to Breakthrough Academy, very, very driven operational organization, teaching me how to coach, train, and develop my staff so the business runs itself and I get to walk away one day. And so we go from having a kind of management team to having a management team, a senior management team, and an executive management team. And they taught us how to scale that. And so if I would give one piece of advice, it is find a coach that is willing to develop and coach and train you one-on-one and be willing to spend the money. Almost every coach I have, I can't think of a coach I have that I pay less than $250 an hour. And that's on retainer, and that is I'm paying them every week or every month. I am meeting with every one of my coaches at least one time a week. I typically have 1 to 2 hours of coaching and training every single day. So if you're the business owner, you're the CEO, it's your responsibility to drive the ship. The entire ship goes wherever you steer it. It flows from the head down. Your responsibility is to invest in yourself. When you invest in yourself, it gives you the tools to invest into your team. And when you hire the wrong person, it is detrimental. And that's why I've been through the pain, and that's the reason why I'm willing to name drop people and tell my competitors what my silver bullets are, because I know it doesn't matter. They can get better. We're on track. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. But more than anything, I want to see the industry level up, right? And so I'm willing to name drop those names and give the shout outs to competitors. And I've got competitors in my backyard that are now using these tools and these resources, and I'm watching them grow, and I'm happy for them. But man, it's life-changing, right? I went from, waking up in the middle of the night with panic attacks, not getting paid consistently, going 6 months at a time without a paycheck. Everything was a fight all the time. It felt like I was constantly just barely getting by, to My business is totally predictable. We're in a 17,000 square foot, 4-acre facility right on an interstate, growing 650% in 4 years and living a very comfortable life and being able to be a blessing to others. And it is 1,000% based off, I found extremely amazing coaches. I executed, I trust the system. They had the track record though. And that was the big thing, is they weren't just talking about stuff. They had a track record that was able to be followed in a system that was proven. I trusted the system and we executed as a team. And now we're seeing the results from all those seeds we put in the ground and all that hard work 3 and 4 years ago. We're seeing it today, but I'm playing the long game, right? So many people play the short game and it's about survival. And this is about thriving, right? It's a different mode. And sometimes you got to be in a little bit of both. In the very beginning, I was in survival mode. I was already working 60 hours. It's like, okay, I'm 60 hours in the business to survive, and I'm 10 hours on the business to put seeds in the ground for the future so I can live like no one else, right? But it's, in the beginning, it's extremely hard work. It's the only way that you can own a business, though.
Yeah. Wow. Some great stuff right there. And get a coach, get some one-on-one support. Choose somebody with a track record, follow, be coachable. And, but look, that's, you're describing, I think, kingdom. You're describing kingdom roofing, but you're also describing life in the kingdom. And that's what we're going for too. So that's why I love who you are and love having you on here. So, guys, Daniel's, he's pretty active on Facebook, but I think, he's probably maxed out on friends if he's not already. Go to LinkedIn, check him out, connect with Daniel Young on LinkedIn. You could see him without his hat and a nice paper, with his new facility ribbon cutting banner. And just follow those guys. They do a great job. And you can meet him at the conference in October, the transformconference.com. And check out WebRunner as a partner, and along with Breakthrough Academy as a partner of ours as well. Les, check him out. Some amazing things. And of course, you can check us out at Sales Transformation Group. We have a sales system for you to help you scale your organization through sales training, coaching, consulting. So Daniel, thanks for hanging out with us on the Growth Minded Contractor. You fit it to a T. Amazing episode. And we'll wrap it up.
Hey, thanks for having me.